Yesterday, you were at the 9/11 memorial. We were all watching that. And J.D. Vance was supposed to be with you. He went out to be with Charlie Kirk's family and to get the body back to his hometown in Arizona. And you said you were going to award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is very nice of you. Any updates on this suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, it's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But, yeah, I think we're in great shape.
Mr. President,
and he's in custody.
Your suspicion was that he was radical left, and now you have more information. What can you share with us about his ideology? Yeah,
Lawrence, let me just, and by the way, Lawrence is doing a good job. What's going on here?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
I said you were going to do well. Yeah, I think that I don't want to go too far. I'd like to tell you some stories at how it happened, but essentially somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you had some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned him, you know, they said, whoa. It's interesting where we had very good pictures, but not great, not perfect. And when you look at it, what happened is somebody, and this happens a lot. It happened with the crazy Boston bomber. It happened with others. Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him.
All right. So when I first heard what happened to Charlie Kirk, I mean, it was shocking and deeply saddening. And not to mention, as you guys just seen, that Donald Trump actually praised a black man, which in my community, or I should say individuals that I've been raised with that are pro-Democrat, they believe that Donald Trump is a racist. So I know people would explode in regards of him basically applauding a black African-American man who happens to be a host on the Fox and Friends network, let alone the Fox News. But what I'm getting at is I didn't like the news that Charlie Kirk, got assassinated. And, a nation finally has a measure of relief as a suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk is in custody, as you guys just heard. And President Donald Trump announced the arrest, bringing an end to a painful period of uncertainty. And the idea that someone like Charlie, who was only 31 years old, had such a bright future, where many believing he could one day run for president, was taken from us is heartbreaking. And Charlie didn't commit a crime. He never harmed anyone. All he did was speak passionately about his love for America. He was a strong husband, a good father, and a powerful voice for conservative values. And we reflect on this tragedy and the justice that is now beginning to unfold. But it's disturbing to see the reaction from some people on the left, almost as if they're celebrating this. Every time we're presented with an opportunity to come together, they use it to push more hate and division, which actually boils my blood, and why this situation happened to be prone to happen in the first place. So you see majority of people saying is because of radical extreme left democratic supporters who have these extreme ideologies to the point where if you disagree with them, then you should be erased, or killed, unfortunately. And while they celebrate the worst in us as a country and as a united front and just as America as a whole, we will focus on and I will focus on the truth, and we should all focus on the truth and the path to healing. And it was supposed to be a debate. Charlie Kirk was at Utah Valley University for a Prove Me Wrong event, an open invitation for discussion, but instead it became the site of cold-blooded political assassination in broad daylight, and a sniper took aim and fired a single fatal shot, ending the life of a conservative leader. And now it also brings the awareness of how people now we can't even have conversations, even if we agree to disagree, but also just embrace the perspective, or even just the accessibility to appreciate that we have each other's time and taking each other time just to have a conversation. Because those who really like a Charlie Kirk, who is very intellectual, know that their time is not up for grabs, and they do not waste every second of it. As we know that he is strong in his faith, he believes in God, and we know that a man that's on his purpose as a believer in God does not waste their time, because we know we don't have time to, we don't borrow time, and we don't have time to waste. So the law enforcement response was massive and swift. You know, Utah Governor Spencer Cox made it clear from the beginning that they will hunt down the person responsible, and that promise has now been kept. And at the early press conference, Governor Cox pleaded with the public for helping, calling out the act for what it was: a political assassination and an act of terror designed to silence a conservative voice. And thanks to the tireless work of the FBI, agent a multi-agency task force, that terrorist is now off the streets. A terrorist is now off the streets. And also, I have word, and I've been watching a little bit of news reports, and actually, people have been submitting in the tip line. It was like 132 tips of people sending in their recordings and videos of the terrorist that is now off the streets. So shout out to them on that front. It's amazing to see, even though we have negativity from individuals who are basically belittling Charlie Kirk and not looking at it as a life loss as a father, and just a un unexpected, unnecessary act of taking a human life. And people are taking it so personal to the point where they don't know how to move their feelings from it and understand that this was a human life, um, gratefully blessed to be showing his talents on earth. At least we get to see the greatness of people coming together to defeat crime, instead of all of it being negative when it comes to people focusing on dividing and coming at Charlie Kirk. Because to be honest, and I'm gonna just say the unpopular truth, this man came at more white liberals than anything than black African Americans. But however, holding someone accountable isn't hate. Just because you hold them accountable, and Charlie Kirk has spoke to a lot of blacks, African Americans, and I'm not taking sides. I'm just being an equal accountability person and being objective to the whole situation. He told African Americans, since they were blaming the white man and Donald Trump as a tyrant, and white people are trying to gentrify and take over our neighborhoods. All he did was say, for instances, and this is an example. I'm not saying this is Charlie Kirk words specifically or directly. I'm just using this as an example of how he was holding black, let alone African Americans, accountable by saying, okay, well, you clean up your communities, and you protect your communities and defeat the crime and get the gangbangers off the street that you know who are on the street and that is also committing crimes and selling drugs and drug dealers like that, because you know, then you don't have to worry about Donald Trump coming to clean up your streets. And don't make this a black and white thing, because we're talking about the objective and the ideology of safer streets just in America, all across America. Because we know that Charlie Kirk was basically focused on America being better as a country. He wanted the best for America, if you want to put it plain and simple. So I'm thankful justice is being served. I'm grateful that the suspect was caught and can no longer pose a threat to anyone else. And in the moment of decisive leadership, President Donald Trump took to Truth Social to announce the capture. And I'm thankful that we have a president who is actively engaged with the people, as we can see. And Trump isn't sitting on the sidelines. He's directly involved, speaking out, taking action. He's on Fox and Friends. He found out 5 minutes before he got on the cast this morning in New York. And that's what real leadership looks like. And JD Vance stepping up for Trump to be with the family shows that this administration truly values the people. And the capture of the suspect is a testament to what can be accomplished when our leaders are committed to justice. And while the monster who climbed the rooftop to execute a political opponent is now in custody, the questions about what drove him there are more important than ever. And this wasn't random. This wasn't a random violent act. It was a calculated act of political hatred. And the official story is finally bringing justice, but the corporate press will do everything to downplay the political motives behind this assassination. And they don't want you to know the truth. So make sure you're getting the real, unfiltered story. Subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell, and we will not let the memory hole of what just happened. We will not let them basically memory hole what just happened to Charlie Kirk. Because even though you may have unfortunately took away the messenger you didn't take away the message. But let's continue to wrap this up, and then I want to get you guys' thoughts down in the comments below.
And essentially went to the father, went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister. And brought him to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic. And the father convinced the son, this is it. And again, I'm always subject to be corrected, but you know, I'm just giving you, based on what I'm hearing, they'll give you a much more active. I just heard about it 5 minutes before I walked in. As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted. So you have breaking news, don't you? Huh?
Thank you.
You always have breaking news, Ainsley. Sean's going to be very disappointed that we're not doing it on his show.
He'll be very thankful and appreciative of the police officers that got this guy.
They did a great job. Everybody worked together. Pam Bondi is incredible, by the way. People don't know what a star she is. She's incredible. And it all worked out.
Could I ask you just some clarification? So a pastor was able to turn him in, or they got the family of the shooter to turn them in?
Well, it was a minister, and the minister went to a minister who was involved with law enforcement, by the way. And his good friend is a top U.S. Marshal. And they took it from there. And then it was a father got involved, namely his father, and said, we got to go in. And they, so I understand it. And again, subject to change. But, you know, the facts are the facts. We have the person that we think is the person we're looking for. But they drove into the police headquarters, and he's there now.
Well, there you have it. So, look, as the nation processes this arrest, we need to stay focused on what matters, which is our shared humanity. Disagreeing with someone should never lead to violence. It should never cost someone their life. And while we are grateful that justice is being served, we must speak out against the kind of radical, hateful culture that led to this. And I'll always send up a prayer for the Kirk family, and let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'll be following this case every step of the way. On that note, family, peace.